Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight Live on KMTV. I'm Kristen Hawthorne and here are your top stories on Wednesday the 18th of March. Men be moving forward. Meningitis cases on the rise as Health Protection Agency prepares for vaccination programme.
It went really well. The nurse was very helpful and very kind, talked you through everything, answered all of my questions. It was very useful.
Medway incident. Police respond to an alleged stabbing in Gillingham this afternoon.
We saw the SWAT team breach the house and some guy was getting arrested.
And Channel Challenge. Sheffy women prepare to swim to France for charity.
Yeah, while we was doing our 10 miles in 10 days, we decided that it would be a good idea to swim a channel next year.
Thousands of students at the University of Kent have started to have vaccines to protect them from a deadly strain of meningitis. An outbreak has gripped the nation, with 2 young people tragically losing their lives. There have been 20 confirmed cases so far, including a baby who's just 9 months old. Our reporter Chloe Brewster has been following the story for us from the start of the outbreak and joins me now live from the Canterbury campus. Chloe, I can see students queuing up behind you for the vaccine. What is the mood like there at the moment?
Yes, so as you say, I'm stood at the Sports Centre on University of Kent Canterbury campus. Students have been queuing here for a few hours now for vaccines. There has been a lot of uncertainty. I mean, students in the queue are telling me that they're feeling a bit relieved that they're being offered the vaccine at the moment, but there still is that fear kind of in the air. The vaccine rollout comes after Keir Starmer announced it in Parliament yesterday. Keir Starmer also spoke today and reiterated the importance of anyone who visited Club Chemistry getting antibiotics and the calls for vaccinations to be rolled out. We can hear a little bit more about what he said now.
Our deepest condolences are with the families and friends of the 2 young people who've died following the outbreak of meningitis B in Kent. Others are seriously ill, and this will be a deeply difficult time for their loved ones. Mr. Speaker, health experts are working to identify close contacts and distribute antibiotics, and will begin a targeted vaccination programme in the coming days. And can I take this opportunity to ask anyone who attended Club Chemistry on March 5th, 6th or 7th to come forward, please, to receive antibiotics?
OK, so the Prime Minister there talking earlier today, Chloe, it seemed he wasn't sure when the vaccines would start, but that maybe changed this afternoon, didn't it?
Yeah, so you hear him there. He says that the rollout is going to be in the coming days, but obviously I'm stood here. There's queues upon queues of students waiting for their vaccines now, going forward what they're going to be doing. When you were told about the vaccines, was it something you were happy about or not?
Yes, but yeah, I hate needles. But yeah, it's got to be done. It's for a better cause. So
yeah, I think it's good they've done it moderately quickly as well. I think we only got the antibiotics earlier as well. So yeah, obviously get it out of the way.
Yeah, it'd be nice and quick, ready for the last bit of term.
We were all waiting for official statements to be made by the university, and I don't know, I feel like we had to make a lot of decisions ourselves before anything was really said by the uni. So I think in that regard it could have been done better.
When did you find out that you were going to get vaccination today?
I found out 2 p.m. today, I think. I checked my emails and I saw that they were giving out vaccines in the hall. So yeah, I'm quite happy about that.
And do you feel safe on campus at the moment?
With this vaccine, yeah, I do. Vaccine, antibiotics, I feel much safer. Yeah.
It went really well. The nurse was very helpful and very kind, talked you through everything, answered all of my questions. It was very useful.
How long was the process? Did you arrive quite early? How long were you sort of queuing for?
Well, I arrived at about 2:30, so about an hour total. Not too long, but the queue was a bit long.
So anyone who isn't a University of Kent student living on campus, they can still go and collect antibiotics. The Senate building here is still open, plus 3 more centres across Kent. As for vaccines, at the moment only those who've been contacted and students here, as I say.
All right, thank you, Chloe. But what about the rest of Kent? How is the north and the west of the county reacting to the outbreak? A student nightclub in Medway has also closed its doors during the crisis, whilst all schools in the county have been given advice to stay vigilant too. Maisie Walker has been speaking to students in Medway about how they're feeling about the news.
A meningitis case has been confirmed at another university, as a vaccine rollout is underway at another campus. Canterbury Christchurch University says one of its students has tested positive, and this is linked to the initial cluster of infections at Club Chemistry.
Anxiety over the outbreak is travelling far beyond Canterbury now, with Medway students concerned that it may spread. Nightclubs are acting quickly, such as Tappington behind me, with it actually shutting its doors to the public last night.
They decided it was for the safety of their customers and staff, and will be following health reports closely. A targeted vaccination programme is expected to roll out later today, which will aim to give Men B jabs to around 5,000 students at the University of Kent. However, as pharmacies warn of a surge in demand, concerns have been raised about whether there is a sufficient stock available. MP Helen Whately spoke in Parliament yesterday to question if these vaccinations would extend past Canterbury.
And will he roll out the vaccination programme he's spoken about to local schools, including residential schools in the area?
The answer seems to be no.
Currently, as I indicated, there are no stocks available, but this is currently managed closely by UK SHA. It's sort of a moving event and in which needs to be coordinated quite closely.
On another University of Kent campus in Medway, rising cases are fueling student panic and anxiety.
This week, ever since we had these, me and my friend group, we've been a little careful. Make sure not to get too close to other people. Washing our hands more frequently, using hand sanitizer.
To be honest, I wasn't aware of the outbreak yet. Just some students, some friends of mine, told me about it. And I was kind of concerned at the beginning because we live at the student accommodation and we need to interact with a lot of people there. So I did find it quite concerning.
To be honest, I firstly found out from some of my friends of mine. We have a group chat and they just sent a link that was talking about some kind of a virus we're calling meningitis. I just recognized it at first because I went through it when I was a kid, when I was just born.
Meningitis symptoms can appear suddenly and include a high temperature, vomiting, a stiff neck, sensitivity to light, and a rash that doesn't fade when pressed with glass. Stay alert and go to your nearest A&E immediately if you think you or someone you care for may have meningitis or sepsis. Maisie Walker for KMTV, Medway.
Sue Gray from Sheppey has been campaigning for a duty of care law after her son died from meningitis in 2023. Matthew was only 21 years old when he fell ill in his flat and passed away 2 days later. A group of people failed to call for medical assistance. The campaign calls for a law which means that it would be legally required to call for medical assistance if a person needs help. Alongside other parents, they've also been calling for better preventative care. She spoke with us earlier today.
Marissa, Helen and I actually, whilst we was chatting, set up a change.org petition to vaccinate the children that actually have missed out because they was born prior to 2015 when the vaccine for meningitis B actually got put into, the arms of the children that were born after 2015. But that means that there's a group of people out there that have not had any vaccine against this meningitis B. As it stands, Marissa's change.org that she set up in memory of her son Alfie, she's got over 43,000 signatures now. And she actually had a response from the health minister last year, I think it was. And the words were something along the lines of that it wasn't cost effective and there hadn't been enough deaths to warrant. So, and obviously, watching the news now, it's frustrating and it's annoying. It makes me feel so angry that all of a sudden, because there's been an outbreak, which is something that we've been trying to prevent rather than cure, it makes me angry. And obviously Marissa and Helen, with parents that, you know, we've literally been talking about this for 3 years, and trying to get the government to listen to us is literally been like knocking our head against a brick wall sometimes. And now here we are in a situation where there's an outbreak in Kent. And so understandably, as parents that have lost children already to meningitis, it's saddening, it's upsetting that other families are having to go through the trauma that we have been through purely because the government did not listen to our pleas when we started the petition for the meningitis B vaccine to be, you know, put into people that were born prior to 2015.
Of course, if you've been affected by anything we've talked about so far in our programme, head to the government website for more information. It's now time to take a short break, but we will see you very shortly for more. We'll be speaking to Julian Spinks. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight Live here on KMTV. Just before 12 p.m. today, emergency response teams were called to Mill Road in Gillingham after reports of a stabbing. While students from the nearby college gathered around police tape, a man in connection with the incident was arrested and has been taken into police custody. I went to the scene and spoke to witnesses earlier today. In Gillingham, a man has been taken to hospital after reports of a stabbing on Mill Road shortly before 12 p.m. Armed officers were later seen arresting a man in connection with the incident, while crowds cheered on. So I arrived here at around 10 to 1 this afternoon, where there was police tape cornering off the area and more than 100 students lined up looking on to what's happening. They've now all gone back to college, but now the police are carrying out their investigations and collecting evidence.
Well, when we first got here, we were actually on that side over there, and we heard people saying there was someone who got stabbed, but then later on we came over here because we were trying to get lunch, and we saw that, well, a bunch of police cars came, there was about 10 of them, and then the people inside the house kept opening the windows, which I'm assuming was to talk to the police officers outside. At one point someone opened the side door and spoke to some officers on the side, and then after like 50 minutes this boy finally came out of the house, and then they like put him against the wall and started patting him down and stuff. And what I assume was his mum came out afterwards in like a dressing gown.
There was obviously a stabbing, and then we saw the SWAT team breach the house, and some guy was like getting arrested and got put in the car, and then we saw, I think it was the mother, I assume, getting walked out as well.
In a statement, Kent Police said that they were called to Mill Road, Gillingham at 11:48 a.m. on Wednesday the 18th of March 2026, following reports of an assault. Officers attended, along with the South East Coast Ambulance Service, and a man has been treated for an injury consistent with a stab wound. He's been taken to a local hospital. A 28-year-old man has been arrested in connection with the incident and remains in police custody. The victim's injuries are not believed to be life-threatening or life-changing. So while locals and students get to grips with the incident, many I spoke to seem disappointed but not surprised that it has happened. Kristen Hawthorne for KMTV, Gillingham. An unlicensed driver who killed a much-loved and respected schoolteacher told police he thought he struck an animal. Ben Allen, who taught at Cliff Woods Primary School, was walking to his brother's house along Station Road when Jordan Bannon hit him with his vehicle on Friday, the 17th of December 2021. Police found the then 28-year-old after discovering a broken-off part from his car nearby Ben's body. Bannon also told the police he'd drunk at least 3 spiced rums and 2 tequila shots beforehand, but denies causing death by careless driving, as well as causing death by driving whilst unlicensed. The trial continues. Another bank branch in Kent will be closing its doors permanently tomorrow. The Santander on Cannon Street in Dover will close, a bank spokesperson said, citing a shift towards digital banking. Another 44 branches are due to be shut this year, including the Ramsgate Bank closing on the 28th of April and the Tonbridge branch closing the following day. A temporary banking hub will be set up at St Mary's Parish Church, though, which will open on Thursdays, with the nearest permanent branch located in Sandgate Road in Folkestone. And plans to transform a destroyed restaurant on one of Kent's most iconic harbours have been put forward. The Crab and Winkle restaurant was devastated by a fire in 2022, but major operators have expressed interest in transforming it into units built to attract new businesses, which could open this summer. Canterbury City Council has put the site on the market for lease and is excited to see proposals from retail, lifestyle, leisure and much more. Whitstable Harbour Board Chairman, Councillor Chris Cornell, also said this is an opportunity to take the site in Whitstable Harbour to the next level. Now it's time to take a look at the sports news from across the county with our reporter, Chloe Smith.
First up, manager Gareth Ainsworth praised players' efforts after Gillingham's 0-2 loss to Swindon. Despite admitting that defensive errors allowed the opposing team to take the game with a late second goal, Ainsworth said that they were definitely the dominant team, and that he didn't know how some of these shots hadn't gone in. Whilst the Gills had 20 attempts at a goal, they weren't quite able to make it count. For Swindon, this was their first win in Gillingham since December 1986 and ended the Gills' 13-game unbeaten streak in this fixture. Despite the loss, the game marked the first home league appearance of 19-year-old midfielder Harry Waldock. The young player from Herne Bay joined the Gills at age 11 and has been working his way up the ranks ever since. Waldock had been on loan at Cray Wanderers and had just made his league debut at Cambridge United the weekend prior and said that it's been a bit of a whirlwind really, but that going out on loan had really helped him build his confidence. But it's not just the Gills with a recent debut. Nathan Paul Lavely, on loan from Bromley, made his goal-scoring debut at Folkestone during their 2-2 draw with Dartford. Folkestone and Victor boss Jay Saunders said that there's bundles more to come from him, and that despite taking him off pitch at the 61st minute, it's good for him to see what we're about. A quick look into Kent Motorsports. Ashford's Bradley Ray begins testing ahead of the 2026 Superbikes Championship. Ray was the runner-up in last season's series and is taking part in a 2-day pre-season test with his team in Andalusia, Spain. Joining Ray are the team's Supersport riders Ben Curie and Harry Truelove. Ray last rode the Superbike at Brands Hatch in 2025 and said that he's keen to blow the cobwebs off and make a head start. The championship returns in July. And last but not least, in rugby, Medway women's team fought hard against the NC1 South East leaders Hove before losing 28-20. The day saw more than 100 girls playing rugby as Priestfield hosted the Kent Under-16s Cup final as well as the club's Under-18 girls, highlighting the significant growth of the women's and girls' game at the club. Medway set the tone early against Hove. Their forwards were dominant throughout the game, but ultimately could not surpass the opposing team. The team will be facing against Aylesford Bulls ladies for their next game. Chloe Smith for KMTV.
And as always, don't forget you can keep up to date with all our latest stories across Kent by logging onto our website, kmtv.co.uk. There you'll find all our reports, including this one, about a time when I went to see the transformation of the Elvis House in Canterbury, a house which became famous in the area for a picture of Elvis Presley being placed in its window and staying up for decades. It's now been changed from an abandoned house into a house which is net zero and will be given to for council homes. Take a look. It was once abandoned and boarded up, but Canterbury's landmark has now been all shook up. For decades, this house on St Peter's Place was known for one thing: the picture of Elvis Presley in its window. Now, after years of sitting empty, the building has gained another memorable title, as Canterbury City Council has completed a major retrofit to turn it into the city's first net zero council home.
We started with the house completely bare brick, holes in the walls, windows missing. We've basically just given it a massive facelift thermally and aesthetically, so to make it a really efficient, sustainable home.
The last time I was stood here, the Elvis House was just at the beginning of its retrofit journey. But just over a year later, the house is now completely finished and tenants are able to move in quite soon. But how much of a game changer is it really?
So it's incredibly no condensation, no mould. It's just, I think, a game changer in terms of health and well-being. And to do this for social housing is just fantastic.
The council hopes that this home could help modernise older homes across the district.
I'm very excited to be in this house. It's absolutely amazing. You know, the whole house is completely passive house standard now, which means it's completely energy efficient, about 90% less energy being used to sort of heat this house and generate energy in this house, which is absolutely amazing. So yeah, the idea is to make sure that all our stock, that is what we own in the council, is net zero by 2030. And we've just received a huge grant, Warm Homes Fund, to help deliver some of the retrofit of our council houses within our stock. So we'll be using all this information to inform that.
But why did they choose to start with the Elvis House?
This is a property that we've had on our books for many, many years, I think since the 1970s. And it's typical of a lot of our housing stock. So we thought when it came vacant, it was an ideal opportunity, instead of just renovating it in the usual way and reletting it. But what we wanted to do was use this as a project to see how close to no cost in operation we could get a council home as an example, so that we've got warm, cosy, easy to heat homes that are healthy and learn the lessons and roll it out across the rest of our stock.
The council has applied to Royal Mail to officially rename the address the Elvis House, with a plaque planned to mark its history. And with the first tenants expected by the end of the month, Elvis could soon be back in the building. Kristen Hawthorne, KMTV in Canterbury. It's been fairly warm today, much to my surprise after I decided to wear black. But let's take a look at the weather to see if it's going to continue with the warmness. With the heat, maybe I should say, a clear night across the county with temperatures reaching 11 degrees in Margate, wind speeds of 8 and 10 miles per hour. Into tomorrow morning, a bright start. We've got ranges of 4 to 7 degrees across the county, wind speeds of 3 and 6. Then into the PM, we've got temperatures of 16 degrees down there in Tunbridge Wells, Maidstone, Ashford and Dartford. And then Friday, Saturday and Sunday, we've got clear skies. Getting cooler towards the end of the week, 15 on Friday, 14 on Saturday and 13 on Sunday. Now it's time for a quick break, but coming up we'll be taking a look back at our top story this evening. Our reporter Chloe Brewster will be joining us live from the Canterbury campus to bring us the latest on the vaccine rollout. And KMTV health expert Dr. Julian Spinks will be joining us to tell us more on the symptoms and what we should be doing if we're concerned. All of that and more to come. See you then. Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight Live on KMTV. I'm Kristen Hawthorne and here are your top stories on Wednesday the 18th of March. Men be moving forward. Meningitis cases on the rise as Health Protection Agency prepares for vaccination programme.
It went really well. The nurse was very helpful and very kind, talked you through everything, answered all of my questions. It was very useful.
Medway incident. Police respond to an alleged stabbing in Gillingham this afternoon.
We saw the SWAT team breach the house and some guy was getting arrested.
And Channel Challenge. Sheffy women prepare to swim to France for charity.
Yeah, while we was doing our 10 miles in 10 days, we decided that it would be a good idea to swim a channel next year.
But of course, back to our top story this evening, thousands of students at the University of Kent have started to have vaccines to protect them from the deadly strain of meningitis. An outbreak has gripped the nation with 2 young people tragically losing their lives. There have been 20 confirmed cases so far, including a baby who's just 9 months old. Our reporter Chloe Brewster has been following the story for us from the start of the outbreak and joins me now live from Canterbury campus. Chloe, earlier we saw lots of students queuing up behind you for the vaccine, and maybe that's changed now. What is the mood like there at the moment?
Yes, so as you say, I'm outside the Sports Centre on Canterbury campus. This is where they've been handing out vaccines. It's around 2 p.m. today. Earlier in this programme, there were students queuing all around the building, but now that has significantly decreased. Lots of students are actually getting turned away and being told they could come back tomorrow. In terms of how people are feeling, they're feeling a bit uncertain, but we need to get to the bottom of where this all started. So let's hear from Keir Starmer and the PMQs earlier talking about when the vaccines would be rolled out.
Our deepest condolences are with the families and friends of the 2 young people who've died following the outbreak of meningitis B in Kent. Others are seriously ill, and this will be a deeply difficult time for their loved ones. Mr. Speaker, health experts are working to identify close contacts and distribute antibiotics, and will begin a targeted vaccination programme in the coming days. And can I take this opportunity to ask anyone who attended Club Chemistry on March 5th, 6th or 7th to come forward, please, to receive antibiotics?
Prime Minister speaking there earlier today, Chloe, it seemed he wasn't sure when the vaccines would start, but this has changed, hasn't it?
Yes, so as you say, it was earlier that Keir Starmer was saying that the vaccines would be rolled out in the coming days. So when I got here on campus about midday today, it was business as usual. The Senate building was pretty quiet. That's where they've been handing out antibiotics. But I found out around 2 p.m. that students had actually been told to come down here and get their vaccines, so significantly earlier than what was expected. Those vaccines are going to be offered to 5,000 students around the campus here, and that's only to people who are living here on campus. I spoke to a few of those in the queue earlier who had been waiting for a while to get that vaccine. When you were told about the vaccines, was it something you were happy about or not?
Yes, but I hate needles. But yeah, it's got to be done. It's for a better cause. So
Yeah, I think it's good they've done it moderately quickly as well. I think we only got the antibiotics earlier as well. So yeah, obviously get it out of the way.
Yeah, it'd be nice and quick, ready for the last bit of term.
We were all waiting for official statements to be made by the university, and I don't know, I feel like we had to make a lot of decisions ourselves before anything was really said by the uni. So I think in that regard it could have been done better.
When did you find out that you were going to get a vaccination today?
I found out 2 p.m. today, I think. I checked my emails and I saw that they were giving out vaccines in the hall. So yeah, I'm quite happy about that.
And do you feel safe on campus at the moment?
With this vaccine, yeah, I do. Vaccine, antibiotics, I feel much safer. Yeah.
It went really well. The nurse was very helpful and very kind, talked you through everything, answered all of my questions. It was very useful.
How long was the process? Did you arrive quite early? How long were you sort of queuing for?
Well, I arrived at about 2:30, so about an hour total. Not too long, but the queue was a bit long.
So those vaccines are only being offered to those who are living on campus. So at the moment, even those who visited Club Chemistry on the 5th to the 7th, which are the days that the government are encouraging you to get antibiotics, they can't get a vaccine. Neither can anyone who believes they might have been a close contact to meningitis. That decision has been widely criticised, and it is being debated whether that should continue for more people, but we'll have to see on that one.
All right, Chloe, we'll certainly be following the story. Thank you so much. And to tell us more on what symptoms we should be looking out for and what to do if you do have any concerns, Dr. Julian Spinks joins us now. OK, Julian, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Firstly, can you tell us a bit about meningitis B and how it spreads?
Yes, well, meningitis actually describes infection of the meninges. That's a covering over the brain that helps protect it. And it can be caused by a number of bacteria and viruses. But the most common one is meningococcus, which is a particular strain. And there are multiple strains of that, named A, B, C, W, Y, all of those. Now, meningitis B is a particularly nasty one. It can spread. The fascinating thing is that 10% of the population have it in their throats anyway at any one time without coming to any harm. Among younger people, it's about a quarter of them. But if it gets past that into your bloodstream, it can cause a severe infection of the lining of the brain, and it can move on to septicemia, which is very definitely life-threatening. And that can be a very rapid change.
And what are the symptoms people should be looking out for? We've heard a lot about different things, but maybe people that are worried would maybe have those phantom feelings. But what are the symptoms?
Yes, it's a usual thing. It's a mix of things that actually are in multiple different diseases, but there are some specifics. It does start with things like a high fever. You can get a very severe headache associated with photophobia. You can't actually look at bright lights. You can get a stiff neck with it. You can vomit. And as things move on, you can start to get breathlessness, dizziness, start to lose consciousness, you can vomit repeatedly, and then you can get a rash that appears, and that's the septicemia rash, which if you press a glass to it, it will not blanch, it won't go away. And that's a very simple test, just using ordinary drinking glass. If you're getting those symptoms, then you need to act quickly, and it is, don't wait to talk to a GP or whatever. You need to either go to A&E, or if you're too ill to move to A&E, call an ambulance. Okay, and with all this going on, people with different health anxieties and stuff will obviously be so concerned. What should they do? I think keep calm. And the reason is that actually this isn't particularly contagious. If you compare it with something like COVID or measles, where just being in the vicinity of someone carried a high risk of catching it, you have to be in close contact, normally over a period of time, normally in the 7 days before the main person actually gets their symptoms. And by close, we're talking about sharing a house, sharing a household, sharing a kitchen in student halls, maybe actually being in a dormitory if you're in school. And all of those things are the case. Now, normally, they don't say nightclubs are a problem. And interestingly, the thing about sharing vapes is not considered close contact. However, in this case, it does seem that it's centred around the nightclub, which is why there's been a lot of things going out about if you went to that nightclub on the 5th, 6th and 7th, then you need to seek help. OK, and as we saw in Chloe's report, we saw that students were queuing for the vaccine, but that's based on invite only. How can people know if they're eligible for the vaccine? It will be invite to start off with. There's no evidence they're going to do a very wide campaign at this moment. They're sticking to the students. And of course, in the short term, it's the antibiotics that give you the best protection, because if you have a vaccine, it takes a couple of weeks, maybe sometimes longer to get into weight, whereas the antibiotics are working really within an hour or two. And that's why they were offered first. The best way to get information is to actually go to the Kent and Medway Integrated Care Board website. Just search Kent and Medway ICB. On the front page, there's a link to the page with all the information about where you can get things like antibiotics if you're at risk, and also a helpline you can ring. But I would say that helpline is to give advice as to whether you should have antibiotics and vaccine. It's not actually for medical advice. OK, but there's a lot of resources out there to help people. And how has the past few days been for you? Have you had to close up shop? What have you had to do the past few days? Well, I mean, today, this afternoon, we should have had the practice completely closed, which we do once a month to actually do training. That had to be cancelled because we were getting so many queries, and it's the same right across Kent. And we needed to actually go back and open the practice up to cope with that. Personally, I've had all sorts of media people contacting me asking for interviews, and more than I could actually do.
And in terms of the vaccines that have been given out, maybe how you've been a doctor for a long time, maybe, how many times have you seen meningitis come up in your practice?
I was trying to add it up, and it's a very small number. It's about 4 times over 40 years. So it's not that common. The big problem for us is it's a bit like trying to defend against a supersonic jet. It comes at you very quickly, and if you're not careful and get it treated immediately, then the risk is it's too late.
Right, okay. So it's rare, but at the moment it's becoming a bit more of a problem.
Yes, and I can understand people being nervous, but in reality, unless you're in that limited set of groups, it's not particularly likely you're going to catch this.
Okay, thank you so much, Julian. Thank you. And if you have been affected by anything we've talked about so far in our programme, head to the government website for more information. It's now time to take a short break, but coming up we'll be joined by 2 Sheppey women who will be taking on the challenge of swimming across the English Channel. We'll see you very shortly for all that and more. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight Live here on KMTV. Artist David Hockney is to unveil a large painting in the window of a Kent gallery. The installation will be displayed in Margate's Turner Contemporary to celebrate its 15th anniversary. David's work will depict a sunrise in Normandy, inspired by his time in France, and this is the first time the artist will exhibit a project in the seaside town. The piece will be visible during the day and will also be illuminated at night. The painting will be revealed to the public on Wednesday, the April 1st, and will remain on display until Sunday, November 1st, so a good long time to see it. Now, don't forget you can keep up to date with all our latest stories across Kent by logging on to our website, kmtv.co.uk. There you'll find all the reports, including this one.
Larkfield and New Hythe FC have played in Snodland for more than 60 years and have built up a dedicated following as they moved up the football pyramid to the Southern Counties East League, playing alongside clubs like Punjab United, Whitstable Town and other teams from across the county. For 3 years, they've been working with OB Developments on plans to build 150 homes and new community sports facilities on the abandoned Oast Park Golf Club. But after the company submitted them, they've now been withdrawn. Their new proposal is aiming for 320 homes, a community hub and a grass football pitch, removing the 3G all-weather pitches, paddle tennis court and golf driving range. For the club, who are hoping to expand, it's a real blow.
Yeah, well, at the moment, there's already no spare capacity in the local area for all-weather pitches. We're trying to really progress the club. We've done really well the last few years in promotions, and we want to get promoted again this year into the Ishman South East. And you need to have a 3G in order, so you've got control of your own training, you've got development of all the youth coming through, they've got somewhere to train, you've got a community club because you're all training in the same place. You know, all these things are the bedrock of what you need if you're going to progress as a whole as a club.
For Larkfield and New Hythe FC, they may as well be playing on a pitch that's slanted like this, just because of how difficult it's been to get this development through the door. For 3 years, they've been hoping for an upgrade to their clubhouse, which would have a new tier added to it, 2 entirely new 3G pitches, and even a paddle court on site. But once the developers withdrew that application and then changed it, the future they were hoping for isn't going to come to pass quite yet. Larkfield and New Hythe FC aren't the only ones who are opposing the new development, with the area being designated as part of the national landscape, being home to rare birds and dormice.
The number of houses was unacceptable to us. It was a major development. This is national landscape land and we're trying to protect it. So we're doing a lot of conversations with councillors. We've had meetings with both borough and local councillors and communication with planners to try and protect the land.
OB Developments have said the revised scheme is being designed to minimise landscape impact, maintain a clear buffer between Snodland and Burling and protect the distinct character of both settlements. The plans respond to feedback received from the local planning authority on a previous planning application and reflect a sensitive approach to landscape, access and the provision of homes and community amenities. For Larkfield, it's not just about their first team. There's youth, women's and other teams that they want to provide with a place to train. And they say they're having to start from square one for their future. Finn McDermott for KMTV in Snodland.
And as I said earlier in the show, the weather has been a little bit weird recently. It was quite warm today, so let's take a look at the weather for the next few days. A clear night across the county with temperatures reaching 11 degrees in Margate, wind speeds of 8 and 10. Tomorrow will also be a bright start with Margate reaching 7 degrees and Ashford and Dover following closely at 6 degrees. Then into the afternoon we have highs of 16 degrees towards the west of the county, west and south of the county, wind speeds quite moderate. Clear skies until Sunday, 15 degrees on Friday, 14 on Saturday and 13 on Sunday. And finally, 6 ladies from the Isle of Sheppey will soon be taking on a 33-kilometre swim from Kent to France. The Sheppey Channel Champions are a group of friends aged between 32 and 63 years old. While all are keen swimmers, none have taken on a challenge quite like this before. So Chloe Brewster went down to meet them.
Scrap leisurely swims, these ladies are about to be undertaking the ultimate challenge. The swim is set to take 14 to 18 hours and depending on the tide could start in the early hours of the morning.
I'm not athletic at all.
I'm not built like an athlete, not made like an athlete, and I don't do sports. But I do love the water. I love swimming. It's kind of my place. I'm happy in the water. And I think if I can do it and I can inspire other people to do something a bit out of their comfort zone, then I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed being sporty in some way, but over the years, I don't know, I kind of lost that side of myself a little bit, and swimming brought me back to it. But this channel swim has given me the extra to get back in the gym and do a bit more physical activity, which actually I really enjoy now.
It's great. It's nice. It's nice to know that the challenge of getting to know who you're swimming with, we've already got that bit. We've all known each other for quite a long time in different situations.
Really helps knowing you've got people that you trust and that people are going to help each other through that kind of challenge. And in those times when it is, I don't know, whether it's the middle of the night and we're tired and we're getting towards the end of it, and just knowing that we're going to be able to pick each other up because we know what each other needs.
They're swimming for charity Swim Taker, a charity which provides free swimming lessons and life-saving skills to underprivileged children. The group, who are raising money under the name the Channel Champions, hope to raise thousands to get more children swimming.
Each year we like to do a bit of a challenge. Last year, while we was doing our 10 miles in 10 days, we decided that it would be a good idea to swim a channel next year.
We live around the beach, we live on the beaches, and it's time, we just thought it's time for us to give something back. Living on the islands, we know how much danger there is out here, and we've been involved where people have been swept out to sea, and we respect the sea, but no, not everyone else can. So helping reduce drownings is important to us, and it's the theme for the charity.
I mean, for me, I've got a 7-year-old, and we live on the beach, we come here all the time, and it's so important, knowing that he's safe in the water, or even if he saw someone else struggling, knowing that's, he'd know what to do in that situation. And I think it's so important. It's such a great charity, locally and globally, for the work they're doing.
Good luck, girls. Chloe Brewster for KMTV in Sheppey.
Looked like a great day for the beach that day, didn't it? But joining me now is two of the swimmers, Heidi and Laura. And we've just seen you there having a swim or getting ready for the swim you're completing this challenge for the charity Swim Taker. Can you tell us a bit about this charity first of all, so we're more... Did I say it right first of all?
Yes, it's Swim Taker or Taka. Well, none of us are 100% sure, but I think it's Swim Taker.
So tell me a bit about the charity and why you're doing this.
So it's a UK-based charity that help international children, water safety, drowning prevention, life-saving skills, and they've just recently got their first funding for the UK. So predominantly they've been worldwide, Peru, international countries, but we've now got some funding for the UK as well, which is fantastic.
Well, it sounds very exciting. And so why is this so important? Maybe how did you both get into swimming?
I've
Go on, Laura,
been
do you want to go?
swimming for a long time. Yeah, can you hear me okay? I've been swimming for a long time, and I got into it. My first ever job was as a lifeguard, so that was in pools, but I thought, it's so important, these skills and just making sure people are safe. And then after I'd done the London Marathon a few years ago, I was looking for the next challenge, and Heidi very kindly asked if I wanted to join the team, and yeah, here we are.
And how have you trained for the challenge? I mean, we said there at the start that you've never taken on a challenge for this, so how are you training for it?
At the moment, we are pool training because the sea temperature is still sort of 8 to 9 degrees. So a lot of us are doing pool training sessions, sort of hour and a half, and obviously land-based strength training. And more recently, we are now starting to do longer sea dips. So because we have to get used to the cold water ready for our qualifying swim. So we have, before we can actually attempt the channel, we have to do a qualifying swim, which is 90 minutes in the water, 60 minutes out, dry, dress, change, warm up, and then 60 minutes back in the water. And that has to be at a temperature less than 16 degrees. So we're now just starting to train, getting cold water conditioned ready.
And of course you're a group of women, which I'm assuming is a good lot of fun sometimes as well. Has that helped with motivation for this? Oh, Laura, maybe you could answer that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really nice that we're just all from different avenues of life. We all come together on the island, but we're all different ages as well. I'm the little one of the group, and it's just really nice knowing that you've got everyone supporting us in different ways.
Fabulous. And then people will be able to go to your website and donate money if they so wish, but that would be great. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having us. And yes, absolutely, anyone can donate at any point. And on our website, not only is the donation button, but there's also any fundraising events that we are holding. So anyone could come along and support, not a problem.
Fabulous. All right. Thank you so much. Best of luck. All right, you've been watching Kent Tonight live on KMTV. You can, of course, catch up on the programme on our website, kmtv.co.uk, and we'll be here again at 8 p.m. See you then. Bye-bye.